don't even like to use the word expat. For me, I see myself as a refugee because I left an environment that was oppressive, an oppressive regime that had nothing that was built for it with me in mind. Like I say in America, like the only two systems that were built for Black people in mind were the transatlantic slave trade and the prison system. Like everything else was built for somebody else.
So the desire to leave the UK or the US or Canada and move abroad to start a new life is incredibly pressing. Thousands of people are doing it every month. But what does it really mean to move and recreate your life? Not just change destination, but change your way of being, your way of moving in spaces. Today, I'm joined by Ramses, who is in, where are you, Ramses?
I am in Mérida, Mexico, in the Yucatan currently.
Fantastic. And the last time we spoke...
Planet Earth.
Planet Earth, that's always good to clarify which dimension we are checking in from. Last time we spoke, he was in Costa Rica. Today, he is in Mexico. And next time, who knows where he will be. But really what's exciting about this conversation is a way to shift the dynamic of focusing on where we are in the world to how we are in the world. Ramses, how are you showing up today, and how does the way in which you are showing up at the moment differ, having been on that journey to move from the US and embrace a different way of experiencing life?
I'm showing up today and forevermore as my authentic self, fully stepping into the things that are good for my spirit and not having to compromise one bit of my time, one bit of my energy. I'm fully who I want to be today, and that's going to change tomorrow. And that's because I have the freedom to do so. I have the space, I have the safety to do so.
I love that. Authenticity is it's a great marketing strategy, but to actually live that is definitely it's an interesting approach. Have you always been this way? Have you always been unshackled from matrix? And
I have not. And this is just recently. Even when I left America, I thought that, oh, hey, I left. Everything's going to be okay now. But no, it was just the beginning. It was just the beginning. And who I was then, who I was yesterday is not who I am today. Just like I said, this is a journey that has many stops along the way, many destinations along the way. It's not just we get one place and the work is done. Like it's a constant process of self-discovery, self-development. And this is a choice. This is a choice. It's a choice that not everybody is willing to, it's a path that not everyone is willing to accept.
Yeah. And when you say that the honesty with which you say that, and I guess at times I'm selective, but at times the transparency with which I convey that leaving is not the solution, that can be quite uncomfortable for some people, because when you're immersed in the pain, when you're immersed in a sense of like oppression, victimhood, whatever, and the reality, the perception of the reality is very, very strong. The idea that moving, like that can be the release, that will be the thing that changes everything. For someone to say like, no, it's not, it's that and more, can feel quite like, geez, give me a break. I just want out. How did you navigate that realization that it wasn't going to be the quick fix that might have looked really attractive on Instagram?
Well, and that's me. That's my personal thing. For some people, like everybody's journey, everybody's growth level and patterns are different. For myself, I needed more. I needed more because and that was just based on my personal journey of self-discovery. And like, I'm always wanting to go deeper. I'm always wanting to understand more. And like I said, there is no end. But that's what makes this journey so beautiful, is like, I'm always wondering what's around the corner, like what's on the next page. What does the next destination, what can I learn from the next destination? What can I learn from the next day? So I'm always learning about the world around me, which in turn is going to allow me to learn and understand more about the world within me.
Okay. And that's interesting, because I think I'm the opposite. I'm like, no, I just want everything to be easy, and I'm just like thrown in. It's like,
Well, it can be easy. That's the goal, is
yeah,
to make your life as easy and as simple as we can. But that comes with understanding.
yeah,
And with understanding, you have to go through experiences. So
yes,
sometimes we have to go left to understand, oh, you know what? I should have gone right.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. And to get to this stage where like it's not initiation after initiation, and it's more like surrender and flow. Yeah, that
Yeah. You have to trust in the unknown. And that takes trust in yourself. That takes trusting like your inner guidance system. Um, for me, it's trusting like the ancestors
mm,
and the source. Um, and with that trust, I can have no doubt that they're not going to steer me wrong, because they want me to win. They want me to win. They didn't go through everything that they went through to survive just for me to crumble and fall and have it all like game over. Like, why would they want that for me? They love me.
mm,
So I trust in their guidance. And also trusting in myself to know that like I am a future ancestor, like I'm already an ancestor. So my actions, my decision makings, and what I want to do in my life should be in accordance with that. Because just like how we call upon past ancestors, I believe in my mindset that in the near distant future, there are already people who are calling on
mm.
me for strength and for guidance.
Yeah.
This may be a little too deep, but it's
No,
like
no, no, we're
it's
just getting
it's what
started.
I yeah, it's what I believe in. It's what helps me maintain my momentum um, forward.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things that I'm reflecting on for myself personally, and also how I show up for other people who are also on that journey, is yeah, just being open to what ease looks like. And if
Mhm.
the emotional reaction is a sense of like tension or clasping or grasping for like certainty and security and everything else that we're sold as being the norm, if that doesn't show up, yeah, just kind of opening to what there is to learn from that process. And that takes some unprogramming. Um, yeah,
You know,
it's
I was when I first left, I was grasping. I was grasping, and just like back in the States when I had several successful, quote unquote, successful careers. If you look on the outside in, like, yeah, oh, uh, Ramses had a wonderful life and a career and everything, but um, something always never seemed right, and it seemed a little bit more difficult than what it should be, and that was for several different reasons. But take it outside of the States, um, I was still grasping. I was still trying to push my own agenda instead of just trusting the process. And just through, so I'm a yoga teacher, Kemetic yoga teacher, and Egyptian yoga teacher, and just in those philosophies, if we're grasping, our hands aren't open to receive. And the same thing happened when I was grasping, when I was trying to do this, trying to do that, that was out of alignment with like my true purpose and true goals and true vision, which is to like help expand this universe and the universe within myself and connect with that. Um, I wasn't able to receive the blessings that the universe and source had for me. But once I released and let go and fully surrendered, um, and like just put my palms up in meditation and in prayer, um, that's when I was able to receive. And it was amazing that how quickly it turned around, how quickly it turned around. Um, trusting, trusting in that unknown that we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I'm always really conscious with on the rare times that I allow the conversations to go a little bit deeper than I would normally do is that it can be really easy to lose people. I remember what it was like listening to kind of folks who label themselves as whatever, having conversations, being like, yeah, well, that's great for you, but I've got to pay bills. I've got kids. I've got this reality. Like you can just float around on the clouds doing whatever you want to surrender to.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of my life means that I have to do this and I have to do that. For folks who are at that point, but have managed to get however many minutes in and are still with us in the conversation, how would you explain your journey from being within the status quo, with
Mm-hmm.
operating within like certain parameters and accepting or settling for the idea that that's the norm, to shifting, unplugging from that and moving towards the direction that you're on now? What was that like for you? Like kind of your backstory, your journey?
So my backstory, like I said, I come from the States. I had a career in the surgical field. That's what I was doing at the time. But I was, like I said, I was successful, but I was also broken. Like I was a shell. I had no idea who I was. My identity resided entirely in my employment, my job. Um, and then as a black man, like I had no voice. I didn't know because there was no safety for me to cultivate that. So basically, it took me for myself. It took me being broken down to the point where like there was no more. There was no more. I had to make a decision and ask myself some hard questions. Like the first one is, who am I? And then once I answered that, it was like, well, do I like who I am? And then after that, it comes on with succession of questions. Um, if I don't like who I am and where I'm at in this existence, what am I going to do about it? And I had to go deep within myself and ask myself these questions and like look myself in the mirror and have that real conversation. And it took me like stepping across fear. That's a big one. Stepping across fear and letting go to the narrative that I had built my life around, and to go seek out what was for me. And I knew that was not happening within the States because within those borders, like I was just being poisoned. Like my whole being was being poisoned physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, like everything. And I tried, but I realized that I couldn't find the healing that I needed in the same environment that was poisoning me. So then that made me ask the question, okay, what do I need to do? And I came up with, I need to go. I need to go search for, um, go search for a place of safety so I can create the place in which I want to fit in and where I want to be and where I can do the work that I needed to do within myself, which was healing myself. Basically, a lot of us go searching for healers, but in actuality, like we're the healers, and we can do that. We can heal ourselves. So, and then when I left, the first place I went to was Costa Rica, and I did find a lot of healing there. It's a very healing environment, very the land is like this sacred land, and it's in nature. and I immerse myself in that nature. You know, you have the beach, you have the mountains, you have the ocean, you have clean air, fresh abundance of fresh food, fruits, and you know, um, and then I realized, I can go bigger, I can go more, I can go elsewhere, and find, because one place didn't have like everything that I needed. So I listened to my spirit and I was like, okay, well, I think I need this over here. I think I need that over here. And so, I go to different places that give me what I need in whatever particular season I am in my life and in my growth.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's important for us to have like practices in our life, whatever it is, that help ground us and help balance us and bring like peace to our lives, like breathing practices or meditation, or whatever it is for you, whether it's like working out or going to the beach or doing some kind of hobby that helps expand your mind, um, and your thought processes. But first and foremost is finding a place of safety, um, safety within yourself, so you can take a breath and begin to really sit down and ask yourself these questions like, what do I want? What do I want to create?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to return to what it was that allowed yourself to ask yourself those questions, because a lot of people feel their desire to, but end up pushing it away. But what I must return to, which is something that we discussed when we had our pre-chat chat a couple of months ago, was the experience that you recounted to me of what it meant to you to be in relationship with the land, your readiness, and that sense of listening and perhaps reciprocity. Because for me, it was something that I kind of been reflecting on anyway, like the whole idea of nature connectedness matters
Mhm.
very much to me, and being in the Caribbean where nature is just so abundant and apologetic, you can't ignore it. But there was something about the way in which you explained the journey that you went on, because you were willing to listen and you were willing to evolve and to learn and grow, that just really made me reflect on the way in which there's a lot of privilege in some ways of being folks that have the option to shop around for destination. Like, I could go here or I could go here, because we have
Mhm.
the passport allows us to do that. But yet perhaps there's a responsibility or an opportunity to really gain an appreciation of what it means to really be in relationship with that space. So that's a very long-winded way of asking you to just remind me what it was like for you, and the dialogue that you had and the journey you went on.
Well, as part of like my yoga practice, it encapsulates nature and like cosmic principles and things like that, and realizing that we're not separate from nature, which we have been conditioned to believe, and that allows us to do all types of you know crazy things to nature and things like, and to each other. But we're not apart from nature, but we are a part of nature. And the closer that we get back to that, and I started, just doing research on like um, indigenous practices and how they related to nature and how they were living. And they seem to be happier. They seem to be living well and in community, and you know, uh, eating well and everything. And I realized, just from the basics of things, like we're taught that to live a high quality life, like we have to go forward. We have to go forward. We have to be in technology. We have to be buying things. We have to have all this stuff around us and everything. But in actuality, I think for us to move forward, we have to go back.
Mm.
We have to go back to our indigenous roots. We have to go back to feeling and having a connection with nature and the land and each other in community and things like that. Having a connection with ourselves, with our bodies, with our like spirits, and going within, because that's going to be the real guidance. That's going to be the real guidance, and that's what I did, and that's why I like chose Costa Rica. For one, it's a blue zone. Are you familiar with blue zones?
No.
So there's only a few blue zones in the world. I think there's probably about 6 or 7, and these are places in the world where the people that live there are living a high quality of life because they are like immersed in nature and their diets and everything. In Costa Rica, it was one of those, and I knew that I wanted to that I was on this path of that, and so that was why I chose that. And also being around other people who look like me, like that was another thing. Wanting to connect with that, a place where there was lots of sunshine, because sunshine, like, it activates, it heals. Every living thing on this planet is gets its power, its energy from the sun. And like our beautiful brown skin knows exactly what to do with the sun, that energy. So I knew I wanted to be in that. And so I just started researching different places, and yeah, that was part of that process.
And when we spoke, you mentioned something about sort of being there and either being told like you're not ready or you need to delve deeper, and that sort of that dance of approaching the space.
Yeah, it's always a process. Like within growth, you're always wanting to like listen, and listen to yourself, and um, you know the process of like, oh, I wasn't ready. I wasn't in balance with myself. Like, you have to be in at peace with yourself. You have to. So there were things that when I left, I thought that I had left that baggage in America as well. But there were some things that I brought with me, and they were like affecting, um, you know, like trauma wise, or things that I needed to really address and heal within myself. And I unknowingly brought those with me because I wasn't fully addressing them. And so they started manifesting in my life in different ways. And, things that should have been easier were a little bit more difficult. And that's where that grasping came in. Um, so I had to do some self-assessment and ask myself, like, why is this still happening? Like, I left America. Why are some things that were going on there still happening now? And it was because I wasn't addressing things within myself, and that comes with that self accountability, and still like, okay, well, what part am I playing in this?
Yeah.
Like, what part am I playing in my own uh, you know story, and things like that. But once you ask yourself those things and start processing certain things and start healing certain things, then you can begin to move forward from those, because you learn that, oh, okay, well, this behavior isn't that good for me. It's not good for my spirit. It's not good for my soul. So you start to analyze those things, and then you can move forward.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that makes it it's a layered experience is that
Mhm.
some people, it might sort of sound like pointing the finger, like you have this baggage, you should have dealt with it, blah blah blah. But I think often, I don't know what it's like in Costa Rica, but definitely in Grenada, it's such, the concept of a blank canvas. Hey, it's a green canvas. And the green canvas, that the absence of being able to shop it away, drink it away, consume it away, it really does present you with yourself in ways that wouldn't have been possible in North America or Europe, because there are just distractions. The default setting is designed to make you not listen to yourself. It's designed for you to kind of just shove it under the carpet, and it's not meant to be processed. So in some ways, there's a level of depth that you can't really get to, or that it's less easy to access in that environment. And part of the journey to healing does involve like a certain level of like, going through the shit, if I can say that on YouTube.
Well, yeah, you can say that. Like piggybacking on what you said about the distractions and the places that we come from. Once I was in a place of having once I removed those distractions, then that allowed me to freely, like these things that I had not had the space to address, they started coming up on their own. And I remember like there were times at night when I was just like crying for no reason, what I thought was no reason, and just real emotional for no reason. I'm like, what is going on? And it was because my body finally had a space to relax and release and start shedding some things. And, being in nature helped that.
Yeah.
Being in nature helped that. And I started to learn that the more that I immersed myself in nature, the more that it like kind of embraced me and helped me shed these things. Because that's part of nature. Nature is this cycle that sheds things, like the leaves falling. It's just, it goes, but then out of that comes this renewal. And I allowed myself to go through that process. It wasn't easy. Like it wasn't this fun, happy-go-lucky process, because there was a lot of pain, and there was a lot of layers there that at first needed to be softened, because I had this hard shell which I put around myself to protect myself. And we do that often for survival. And once I, got to a place where I could finally take a breath, then this natural process of shedding started. And that goes back to like, coming back to ourselves, coming back to our indigenous roots, coming back to the ways that we probably would have been living if we hadn't gone to these, big cities and this and that, and, eating the way that we would have been eating if it wasn't fast foods and all these processed foods and things like that. Just really purging ourselves of what was, like what we did have to put on to survive. I could finally let that go and start this healing process. But first you have to, so I like I said, I come from a surgical background. And there's a lot of wound healing that goes on in that. And for a wound to heal properly, it has to have a proper environment to heal. It's not going to heal properly if it's in, if it's dirty, if it's, if the body's stressed, if you're not eating properly and things like that. But if you give it the proper environment, if you clean it out, if you eat well, and you're in this environment of healing, an optimal environment, then it will heal itself. It will go through this process of healing itself. And that's the same way with our entire body. That's the same thing with our energetic body, our spiritual body. But we have to help it along. Like there's things that we can do to help the healing process. It's the same thing with like planting seeds. You can't just go around throwing seeds on a hard ground. First, you have to cultivate that soil. You have to break it up. That way, the seeds that you are trying to plant can actually get into the soil. You have to work with it, and that takes work. that takes work. So if you want a good harvest, you got to put the work in before. Um, I equate that to just like moving, and that's it. And then you're wondering like, why am I still feeling that? Well, there's more work that needs to be done. You have to cultivate this environment for your harvest to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, as you were talking about the process, the word purging definitely came to mind, and it sort of reminded me of quite a few psychedelic experiences, which perhaps we can return to later. But that process of just, yeah, expelling what doesn't need to be there in order to create space for what comes next. It can be quite unexpected, because I think, yeah, the whole like fix the problem by being elsewhere, it can feel very appealing, and yeah, understandably the urge to move, the urge to be elsewhere is can be quite all encompassing. But realizing, if you are really wanting to make a shift, if you are on a purpose driven journey, the extent of, yeah, as you say, doing the work, and the fact that it doesn't always look pretty, and that, yeah, we nature connectedness can have like a really pretty, like skipping along, like, oh, it's so nice, but like, a thunderstorm or a hurricane rips stuff out. It's things that you might have thought are completely necessary end up gone, because that's what is needed in order for the rebirth to happen. And yeah, a friend of ours that we have in common, Darren the Baron, he has this phrase: you can't fake the funk. And I think when it comes to nature connectedness, really, yeah, just being open to doing the work and not getting caught up in the feelings, the emotions, and the sensations of it all is yeah, it's a journey. But once you get to that point, it makes things so much more
Yeah,
open.
you don't want to get caught up in those emotions and let them, you know, take you along, but it's having the awareness of them
Mm,
and being and acknowledging them and embracing them. You spoke on psychedelics. I was in the Navy for 10 years, and with that came a lot of PTSD, and just being like this black man in America, with that came all this PTSD. And psychedelics, psilocybin helped me to manage that and address that. And all of these things that I was trying to run from because I didn't want to acknowledge that they were like a part of me or that they were actually happening to me. Um, I learned that they are a part of me, but I don't have to let them like define me. Um, and what I did was I actually went towards them instead of running from them, and I embraced them because I think they were wanting to be acknowledged
right.
and to say like these things are here. And once I did that, and instead of running, turned towards it and confronted it, that's when that transformation um, was able to occur. So I'm with you there on the psychedelics, a very powerful healing tool that I'm also out here trying to dispel the myths and bring them to our community, because I'm like, hey guys, like this is it. This is a pathway. This is a tool that we could use for our liberation, our healing, our empowerment, um, everything. Like
Yeah.
nature gives us everything that we need to thrive.
Yeah, no, and it's a complicated one, because I feel like, so for me it's taking another left turn. But I started writing about psychedelics in the Black community probably like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, just because I was interested in the journey that had happened in the cannabis industry. And I was really curious, like, okay, how much of this is going to be replicated in psychedelics? How much are people going to be excluded? And that journey of finding about the ancestral connections through people like Kilindi E, talking about the African origins of whether it's psilocybin or iboga or whatever else.
Yeah.
And yet that sort of making sure that there isn't the psychedelic exceptionalism, or that the focus isn't. Psychedelics are an awesome tool. They can be an awesome tool. But for me personally, it's a tool within the wider suite of nature connectedness. And in some ways, I still have a lot more journeying to do. But I sort of have a feeling that without the inner work, the fundamental work, and you being a yoga teacher, probably a better place than I am to kind of comment on this. But yeah, the plants can get you so far, but you also need to do the work, whether it's beforehand, whether it's integration, whatever. It's not like a magic bullet that some might.
No, it is not a magic bullet. Like you still have to do, it's a tool, just one specific tool. That's it, that you can have on your tool, in your tool bag. You know, like a hammer isn't going to build a house. Like you need nails, you need a saw, you need this and that, you need all these different tools to build your house, your home, your existence. So yeah, we sometimes these certain industries and other just individuals out here, they say like, oh, this is the one-stop shop. You'll have a whole list of things. Oh yeah, psychedelics will help you with this, with that, with this, with this, with this, with this. But they don't tell you that, like, oh, and then they charge you $5,000 for that. But then they don't tell you that, well, there's other things that you need to be doing. There's work prior, there's work after, and the work never stops. Like the journey never stops. You keep going, you keep going, you keep building on that. And because you're evolving, you're changing. That's one of the constants in this place that we're in the cosmos, is change. Change is always constant. It's a cosmic principle. And when we begin to embrace that and acknowledge that and model our lives after that, and how we move through life with intention, with purpose, trying to cultivate balance within our lives, within our bodies, in our minds, you'll see that, you know, you can cultivate the existence that you truly want and that you truly deserve.
Absolutely. And one of the things, it reminded me of what you were talking about in terms of wounds and healing in the environment. One of the other things that I think is it's important to reflect upon is, okay, yes, during the however many hours that you're journeying in whichever dimension, and you meet your ancestors and you have this growth, to come back to a reality where Black people are over-policed, over-prisoned, and the implications for us choosing to use these technologies are over and above what it is for other people, and just the socioeconomic realities of our existence in places like the UK, the US, Canada, to be able to explore what it is like to interface with these plant technologies in environments that are more supportive, where nature is more present, where there is less interference, is super exciting. So when I saw you pop up as exploring Jamaica, I'm like, awesome. He's getting closer to the
Listen, I received a clear message to my spirit that there's work that I need to do there, whether it's in the community and within myself. And one of the aspects of that is the way that plant medicines are viewed there and used there in the history. Also the community, you know, seeing faces that look like me. I mean, if you look at the word community and break it down, common unity, it's proven that, you know, we can reach our goals that much more quicker and that much more efficiently if we're in a community, because we have that common unity. And you know, that I would say for anybody who is looking at leaving the States, find a community, or not the States, but just like your situation, or wherever you're at, but you're looking for another destination. Find a community. Find a community. I've seen so many people out here. And I even felt it, where we move and it's great for a little bit. And we're like, we finally catch our breath, but then we realize like we're isolated and we don't have community. And so that was another thing why Jamaica spoke to me is like the community. Um, and going back to this the matriarchal systems and things, that's what's really gonna help us.
Yeah.
Going back.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the people that I really would love you to connect with is a wonderful person, Omar, who runs the Diaspora Psychedelic Society.
I just messaged him the other day.
Yay, awesome. Perfect.
Actually, yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, he's like such a brilliant, awe-inspiring soul. And the journey that he's been on, also ex-military, Panamanian origins, Jamaican descent via the US. It's just really inspiring. And it's just, for me, as the mother of a Black son, it's really beautiful to see Black men having these conversations, holding space for each other and inspiring other people to go on these journeys too. And I remember when I spoke with him a few years ago, he said he has no interest in changing plantations, right? So you can leave the US and go to other places where you have a certain element of freedom, but there is something that is inherently different in being in a place in which you are affirmed and accepted instead of tolerated. It makes every aspect of your experience different, which isn't to say that it's going to be perfect, but that small thing of someone being open to you as a human being rather than hostile and fearful, that foundation is super, super different.
You just gave me confirmation that Jamaica, like, I need to be there. It's so funny how that is, how you mentioned Omar and the psychedelic society and things. Like, these were things that were on my radar, that were on my list of like why I wanted to go there. So this is the universe speaking, saying, yeah, we told you this is where you need to go. So thank you.
Yeah, well, caveat, I haven't physically been there, but energetically, I feel like I can vouch for it. The number of people that are there and heading there, I'm like, it resonates for a reason. So one of the things I'm really interested in and exploring myself is that ancestral connection and understanding the way in which being open to that sort of dialogue and creating space for that awareness can really shift the way in which you move. And I would love to know how the journey that you've been on, because perhaps many people, when it came to the point where you were going through what you were going through in the US and you took the bold decision of asking yourself those questions, many people wouldn't even have had the courage to do that. I mean, courage is probably like a too loaded term, but they wouldn't have known how to do that. So what do you think it was that has enabled you to question, allowed yourself to question, and also to just be open to pivoting? Because also some people might have left the US, gone to Costa Rica, realized Costa Rica might not be it, and feel like, oh my goodness, I failed. Like, this was supposed to be everything. What's your journey been on to kind of allow that extra support and guidance to come in?
For me, my whole journey began with me reclaiming my health. In 2019, like a lot of us, we're working our lives away. We're stressed out. We're fearful. We're angry. We're full of anxiety and depression. And like, I had all the things. Plus I was overweight, and that was my way. That's how it was manifesting within me. All of these things manifest within the body as typically inflammation and, things like that. But I was like going to food and I was almost 300 pounds. So in 2019, I reclaimed my health, and I lost 100 pounds in 1 year. Very proud of myself for that. But what that set up was an environment to start me I realized that the foods that I was putting into my body, the things that I was putting into my body, the environments that I was placing my body in weren't for my highest good. They weren't uh, they weren't creating an environment for me to be my best self. And reclaiming my health helped me to set that foundation. So, and it started a domino effect. So once I did that, I was like, well, what else can I change in my life to make a good environment for my growth, for my cultivation, and that was the beginning of that. And so I started asking myself, what do I need to do to be happy? Like what do I need to do? What habits do I need to change in my life? Who who do I need to surround myself with to help me? Like what community? And so I had to go search for that. I had to go search for it, and search within myself as well. Um, but also a thing for me was Kemetic Yoga, and which is an African-based, African or originated form of yoga that integrates the you know original ancient African system of mind, body, and spirit, and connecting, like I said, going back to ancient practices and ancestral practices and things like that. It helped me go within and really embody the ancestor that lives within me. And that's when I started just like on this path of trusting and moving with intention, breathing with intention. So the things that I was doing on the yoga mat became metaphors for how I should move in life. Um, and so, in Kemetic Yoga, we move with the breath. And so with that practice, it became a practice in my life of moving with intention. It started with breathing with intention, moving with the breath, and then moving with intention. And I saw how yoga was empowering me, how it was healing me, how it was giving me clarity, um, through the breath, through the movements, through the mindfulness practices. And I saw how my life was changing, and I saw how the direction of my life was changing, and it was like improving, and the sun was getting brighter, and my smile was coming back, and I felt better in my body. I felt better in my spirit. And so just adopting those and making those practices part of my life, actually like my life, making it life. That's what it would like. Yoga can be a class. Yoga for me is life. Like it's my life practice, and it's brought me balance. It's brought me health. It's brought me well-being, and a sense of consciousness of who I am. And that's like for me, that's what true health is. And it gave me the clarity, it gave me the space, it gave me the strength, the inner strength to start making those decisions on where I needed to be in my life and where I needed to go. It also gave me the awareness, the self-awareness to realize that if I do go to a place and it doesn't feel right, to not just sit around and like still stay there, but to like, okay, well, I need to go somewhere else. And so I listen to, that inner guidance, because, sometimes in life, um, we can do things like we can write with our left hand when we're right-handed, and we know it doesn't feel quite right. And but all we need to do is have that awareness and be like, wait, that doesn't feel right. Let me switch this hand. Oh, okay. Now that feels right. But that comes with a level of self-awareness. So yeah, for me, yoga was a big part of that. And that's why that's why I teach it now. That's why I travel around, and whoever I'm open to teach whoever will listen. Um,
That's beautiful. And what did your journey from being a yoga student to a yoga teacher, facilitator, however you want to put it, what did that look like? When did you decide, okay, this is something that needs to be on beyond the class, it's something I need to share?
when I found the level of healing that I had for myself, it's like I had the cure. I was like, this is just like if we find the cure to cancer or something like that. Are you going to keep it to yourself, or are you going to give it to to the sick, to the, you know? And that's what it was for me. I found this level of real, true healing, not just a band-aid, not just a pill, not, not some temporary fix, but like this generation that healed me, versions of myself in the past, that's helping me in the present, and that's going to heal, uh, you know, that can heal in the future. And it wasn't just for, yes, it is for the diaspora, but it's also for anybody who wants like a higher level of awareness and healing and consciousness and everything. And that's what I love about uh, Kemetic and Egyptian yoga. Like it's for those who want a higher level of self, and who want to heal, and who want community, who want consciousness and well-being, and who want to connect with nature. We talk about the Netaru, or the gods and goddesses. And Netaru is the base form of the word nature, the Neters. And so that helped me connect with nature as well, and seeing those aspects of nature within myself. And that just helped me connect and go further and find a deeper understanding of myself, but also every living thing on this planet.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, one of the questions that comes to mind, which is really basic, but in the past, I guess, almost 3 years that I've been talking to people who are relocating, percentage wise, maybe 95% of them seem to be women.
Yeah.
Do you notice that as well? And because I know, or it seems as if a lot of the yoga work you do is for men. And I'm just wondering what's going on? What's the difference? Is the journey different for men, or men need to see more men like you to know that it can be done? Like, are you noticing a disparity, and why is it happening, if it is happening?
To answer your questions, yes, to all of those. Like, there are more women out here. Yes, men do need to see me and listen and things like that. Yes, there is a disparity, and that's for many reasons. The main reason that I see that women, and I'll speak on the diaspora and the Black women of color, is because you all are the keepers of life. You all carry the legacy. You all are the matriarch support, and you're going to do whatever is necessary to preserve that, to keep that safe. And if that means leaving a situation, that means leaving a situation. If that means leaving an environment that's dangerous and non-supportive, that means doing that. Also, statistically, women are more financially secure than men. Also, men are highly conditioned to just keep clocking in to situations that don't serve us, because we got to be the providers, and we got to be strong, and we got to be this and be manly, and our identity is in our jobs, and things like that. And men don't really have the space to ask themselves, like, well, what do I want? Who am I? Because that brings up a whole lot of stuff. Like, I didn't like who I was when I looked in the mirror. I had to deal with that. I had to ask myself those questions. I had to address that stuff. And that caused me to, start peeling layers off. And that's something that, really as men, we're not really conditioned to do. We don't have the space to do that, or the safety to do that. It's really a safety issue.
Mm.
You know, it's a rare situation that a brother can be like, you know what, I'm really feeling depressed right now about this situation that I'm in, or that you know, Black men, I'm feeling angry right now, and I don't know how to express it. I don't know how to articulate it, and it comes out in different ways. And then if you're not able to use your voice, like I came from a world where I couldn't use my voice, and everything that I was feeling, I was holding inside. Um, and then that would manifest in different things. So yeah, there is a disparity with women. You know, more women in this expat world, and leaving. I don't even like to use the word expat. For me, I see myself as a refugee
Mm.
because I left an environment that was oppressive, an oppressive regime that had nothing that was built for it with me in mind. Like everything that was built there was for somebody else, and you know, I didn't have a place there. I didn't have a place. I say in America, like the only two systems that were built for Black people in mind were the transatlantic slave trade and the prison system. Like everything else was built for somebody else, and we're just they allow us to be a part of it because they need our they use our talents, they use our brilliance, they use our finances. So when we take that away from that system, and they can no longer use it, then we re-empower ourselves. We can start healing ourselves. We can start building for ourselves. We can start building communities. We can start having conversations, and then that causes a domino effect that will affect generations down the line. I know you mentioned your son. Like we're the things that we're doing now are planting seeds for trees that he's going to be able to sit under the shade of, and you know, generations down the line. So that's why it's so important for us to do this work. And I would love to see more men out here who are more than just sexy flexy Instagram models, you know, showing their abs. Like we need to do this work out here. I've been in rooms where I've heard so many uh, you know, Black women, Black moms, and they're asking like and screaming, where are the men at? Like where are y'all at? Where are y'all at really? Um, because like this journey, this work doesn't stop just because we move. Like we have to do more than than you know, just move. Like we still have to do this work. Like when I was in Costa Rica, I was facilitating like men's groups and getting us together so we can have conversations about this. And it was some beautiful meetings and things. Like brothers just really of all different like shades and backgrounds and things, but all they needed was a safe space to come together. Like we all are asking ourselves the same questions, and it's beautiful when we get together and we realize that we're asking ourselves these same questions. And then you know, the older of us can you know, impart knowledge to the younger generation. What I'm also seeing is younger and younger men making that shift. I'm, you know, I said a lot about the disparities, but I am seeing more younger men making that jump and that leap to save themselves, to empower themselves, to want to do better, to want to heal, to want to do the work. And so that's, you know, that's what I'm doing out here, just helping facilitate that. And it's it's what I want to do with my life. It's my life's purpose, and just finding others who want to do the same, so we can continue building this new earth of ours.
Yeah, I know. I think what you're doing is spectacularly important. And also what I love about these sorts of conversations, and I'm trying not to be judgmental. It's not judgmental, it's just like a perspective. I'll frame it that way, is that there is a lot about leaving wherever to go to somewhere where the cost of living is less and you can earn more and you can have a maid and you can have this and you can have that, which there are many reasons why you would want that. I'm not knocking that in the slightest. And the opportunity for growth, for development, for stepping fully into your power beyond like whatever the income looks like, but how you are able to handle the energy that flows in the world, and how that is then able to shape things for future generations to come. To me, that conversation is so much more exciting. Like the potentials for that are immeasurable. So yeah, to just kind of encourage, to encourage people to consider, okay, if you are going to move, if you are going to, recreate your life, why not be as bold and as brilliant as you can be, and not limit yourself within the paradigm of consumption and production that drove everything that you left behind.
Yeah.
The fact that
let's step out of the box. Like, let's go. There's no limits. That's one thing that I realized leaving, is like, there is no limits to the bounds in which I can create whatever existence that I want. Like, I'm responsible now. There's no one else for me to blame. There's nothing else. I'm fully accountable for that. And so it's limitless. Whatever you want to create, you can. And so why not create something that's speaking to your soul, that's going to fill your cup, so you have overflow. Like, you can have this overflow. It's an overflow of abundance. And abundance doesn't mean lots of money in the bank. It doesn't mean having this maid, or, being able to have all this extra money, so now we can go buy all this stuff at the malls and things like that. Like, abundance is freedom. Abundance is community. Abundance is, health and well-being, and peace and balance, and embracing life fully, embracing who you are fully. You're stepping into your full blackness for the first time in your life, because you have safety. I couldn't step into my full blackness in America, in the States. It wasn't safe for me to do so. But now I see beautiful communities where we're stepping into our full blackness. We're stepping into who we truly are. I see people creating all types of wonderful art, all types of businesses that they've wanted to do, taking up all types of hobbies, and farming and gardening, and like just being in community. People writing and going into photography and this and that. Like, it's beautiful, because they have the space to finally and safety to step into everything that they've wanted to do, and to create anything that they've wanted to create. And so, yeah, all of those other things, they're good, but let's live with intention. Let's live with purpose. Like, we can do that now. Let's go. Let's do that. I know sometimes it's hard, because we've been operating from a scarcity mindset for so long. And so once we finally do get to a place where we can, thrive, the first thing that we do, like, we think that abundance is, like I said, buying things or being able to afford this or afford that. Like, let's not forget to just live consciously, and with awareness, and help others do the same. Now is the time to show the world, like, what we can do, and to show ourselves what we can do and what we can create. So it's lovely. It's lovely.
Beautiful. Well, I have fully loved this conversation. I love the last conversation. I love this one. And I just know that it's going to inspire people to think a little bit differently on their journey. The Exodus Collective started off as focusing on changing destination. As I said at the beginning, it's more to do with the shift in mindset. And I, as a kind of closing question or reflection, I'd just love to know, what does liberation and freedom feel like to you? How do you experience that shift now?
Liberation and freedom to me, it means being in a space where I can affirm myself, where I can fully be who I want to be, where I can create what I want to create, where I'm not living in a scarcity mindset, where I am taking care of myself, where I am not fearful or looking over my shoulder, where I am not angry, all of that. Also, where I can cultivate just like peace and balance in my life, where I can take care of myself and my community. Um, that's what freedom and liberation is for me, where I can use my voice and tell these stories so they're able to be somebody else's survival guide who might still be in. That's why it's so important for us to use our voices. Like, they've been muted for so long. Let's use our voices now. So I want to say thank you to you for having this platform, for that to be um, a reality, because it's so important. Um, it's it's vital, and for us, for our community, it's really going to help with the reconstruction of that, of the diaspora, of our own culture, and it's going to help us. It's going to help us heal physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your kind words. I feel that it's a large part of my purpose, but if it was just me telling the same story again and again and again, it wouldn't be very convincing. So the fact that you have shown the difference that it's made for you and what it really looks like to just step into your power as a soul on this planet, I just know that it will resonate with people and give them the confidence that they need to start on their journey too. So thank you. If people want to connect with you, if people want more, what's the best way to reach out? What activities do you have? Where will you be in the world? What's next?
They can reach out to me on Instagram under Ramses Amun, and I'm teaching yoga here in Merida right now. I've got a 4-week workshop coming up in a week or two, a 4-week series on Kemetic Yoga and Egyptian Yoga, and just walking people, introducing people through these practices, these healing modalities, these empowerment modalities, and getting us out here. And yeah, just I'll be around. I'm on the planet. Like, I'm not hard to find.
Awesome. Well, here's hooray to you being on the planet. Ramses, it's been a pleasure talking with you, connecting with you. I hope our paths cross in this dimension or another. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to share your story. I'll put all your details in the description below. And yeah, best of luck and thank you so much.